Hello and welcome to another MiTunes podcast right here at manxradio.com.
Marc Tyley, the nation station, Manx Radio.
There really should be the sound of some motorbikes coming in tight to the Ramsey hairpin for this particular guest of mine who's with me all this week. I'm delighted. We've got him back in front of a microphone for MiTunes. Roy Moore, welcome.
Yes, well, that is the case, isn't it? It's long gone now. TT, I mean, the next one will be the Southern 100, and then we'll, hopefully, I think there's been rumours going round that maybe it'll be reinstated, that Ramsey Hairpin and Glen Helen and the Grandstand will be on the agenda as normal for Manx Grand Prix 2022, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
We'll keep our powder dry on that. Roy, it's lovely to have you here. My goodness me, a war baby. You grew up with the sound of motorbikes rattling round your pushchair or your pram, and there's a connection, I do believe, going back with a relative of yours to the George Formby movie. Is that right? And the going back to No Limit.
Absolutely correct, and I couldn't understand why, when I got a little bit older, 47 we were born, and we did watch bikes going past, but we didn't know much about it. Born in Park Avenue, which is just down from the start-finish, and Hotchkiss Nursery, which was right outside and on the course, was about 200 yards from the start-finish, and rolled out in me pram to watch them going past. Didn't know much about it. But later on, when I was 5, 6 maybe, no kind of DVDs or anything to look at home. If you wanted to see anything, you had to go to the Picture House, the Strand, the Royalty. And every year, TT and Grand Prix, No Limit was on. And it was a case of going, sitting there, and then there he is, there's Uncle Jack, there he is, that's him going up the Ballahutchin and all that. And then it was revealed to me later, probably by Jeff Cannell, my first cousin, that his dad, Jack Cannell, who rode in the Manx Grand Prix in his early days, or the early 30s, was recruited as a stunt rider. It was number 15 was the number that was always imprinted on my brain. It was the fact that they hired a Canadian stunt team to come over to do it, and they didn't turn up. So they offered the job to the Peveril Motorcycle Club, Harold and Bertie Rowell, one or two other local riders, and Jack Cannell was amongst it. Wow. And we heard many stories. I mean, the pay was good, they got fed every day, and they had to fall off here, there and everywhere. And the kind of riding sequences were done. He was number 15, and when it was kind of live, if you can call it that, when it was shown, he was the one who was on the bike. So yeah, it was an introduction to motorcycling for sure.
Now, as far as your riding's concerned, am I right, were you more a trials man?
Yeah, we didn't have the ability to go fast. We didn't have the money to buy anything to go fast on, really, to be fair. That was the main thing. So we had to go and buy something through the Conister Trust and fall off in the mud and here, there and everywhere. Never tried scrambles. It was only the trials we did. Solos to start with. And then later we went into sidecar trials. The thing about it was you grew up with a terrific bunch of lads who would help you out and became very friendly in later life and still are. The people that we did sidecar trials about with, some of them are still about and superb, really.
Great memories. It's a completely different discipline compared to going round a TT course or a short circuit. It's a completely different sport, really.
Yeah, it's a form of motorcycling. I mean, it's not there's modern words on it now, isn't there? But they've got all classes. But in the old days, you either did road racing, trials, or scrambles. Yeah. And we've reported many times on various things we've been involved in that it was the same bike. You would scramble it on 1 week, put different tyres on it and scramble it. Then you would put different tyres on it and go out and do a trial the following week. And when the season came round, all the kind of local stars, your Doug Crennels, Eddie Crooks, Goo Owen, Derek Ennett, they would all then convert those bikes into race bikes and enter the Grand Prix. There's a lovely story about the Peveril Club organising an event down at Andros where they were instructed not to overtake one another, not to go round. Simple reason, they organised the race, and if you finished, you then got your qualification to ride in the Grand Prix.
So everyone had to finish.
They had to finish. And just look what it did for Derek Ennett, George Costain.
Yeah.
They went on to win. Alan Holmes, double winner, 57. It's certainly interesting history.
Yeah. Talk us into your first choice of music. It's a beautiful song, this.
Well, we didn't have much money. We weren't born with anything other than hardship ahead of us. And you had to work. I didn't have to work because I was only, 6 or 7. Me elder brother, 13 years difference between us. And he'd gone off and come back from his national service and no work about. So he'd been taken on by an electrician in Peel called John Christian. And he spent his summer at the souvenir shop on Peel Promenade. And next door was the snack bar, which was a roaring trade. And they had a jukebox. And I can always remember going down and just listening to Dream Lover by Bobby Darin. It was a choice between that or Paul Anka, but we've gone for Bobby Darin, Dream Lover.
Girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Dream lover, where are you? With a love oh so true. And the hand that I can hold, feel you near as I grow old. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Someday I don't know how, I hope she'll hear my plea. Some way I don't know how, she'll bring her love to me. Dream lover, until then I'll go to sleep and dream again. That's the only thing to do till all my lover's dreams come true. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Dream lover, until then I'll go to sleep and dream again. That's the only thing to do till all my lover's dreams come true. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone. Please don't make me dream alone. I beg you, don't make me dream alone. No, I don't wanna dream alone.
All this week, my guest is a voice that is so familiar to listeners to Manx Radio and anyone dropping in from around the world. If you've ever had a TT, Manx Radio TT back in the day on in your house, you know my guest very well. He is Roy Moore. Roy, thank you for doing this. Good to have you back, sir.
Yeah, delighted to be here. Yeah, a bit of a surprise, really. I thought well, the retirement was announced, and usually you kind of sever the links, but absolutely delighted to come back. We have kind of done it before.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same token, new people, different.
I mean, but we'll talk about the TT probably tomorrow, but when you decided to step down, did you think, that's it, I'm not coming back?
Yeah, I did. I had made a decision on various situations which were occurring, and obviously one of them is I'm 75, and it's been unfortunate in the past that Manx Radio have had to recruit new people due to the demise of established people that you'd have always associated with the TT. And those two people that spring to mind are Peter Neal and Jeff Cannell. And in an instance, their experience and their contribution is taken away from us.
Yeah.
So I thought it's only right that you kind of recruit people to come in so that you're not faced with that again. Whether that's the case or not, with all the new moves that are on the agenda and the way things are going, remains to be seen. It might be an entirely different presentation, and it certainly was in 2022, off the TT and what people are thinking of how they want it to be marketed, I suppose would be the term.
Well, there's a big reaction to that, and we'll talk about the TT and Manx Grand Prix a little bit more tomorrow. But I want to talk about potential golf pro Roy Moore, All-Ireland golf champion, I think a couple of times. If I'm trying to go through the books here and sort of just the once, oh, go on, I thought it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But you hit a tremendous golf ball back in the day.
It was as you came about, and your life is centred around where you live, doesn't it? And we did the fact that we lived in Park Avenue, TT. We then moved down to Prospect Terrace, with its history round there and the boarding houses and all the activity. We then moved to Onken on the Clips course when it was active, 54 to 59, and we were on Avondale Road where the bikes went past your door. The next move was then down to Spring Valley. What's near Spring Valley? Douglas Golf Course.
Yeah.
And certainly the attraction of the golf course was taken.
I've got a funny feeling you're a bit like me. I lived near a golf course and I used to nip over the fence in the evening and try and get my practice in without paying. I bet you did the same.
It was a common activity of pull rows or pulley boys to do that. They got chased, but they only got chased kind of tentatively. It wasn't a thing, because if you were out there, you weren't doing any harm. If you were wanting to play golf, they would let you. If you wanted to go out and vandalise the place,
no, I'm talking about getting out to play some golf.
Play.
So that's how you got started. But you got blooming good.
Yeah, it came not naturally, but we did all right. Again, lack of money. Clubs were not an option. It was all second-hand stuff. I'm always grateful to Charlie Turner. He saw me with me set of clubs, and he saw that I had a bit of potential, and he said, "You'll never be any good with a set of clubs like that, son." I said, "I can't afford a new set." He said, "Well, tell me one thing." He said, "If you come down to my shop every Friday night with 10 bob," he says, "you can have whatever you want, but don't let me down." I didn't let him down, and with the ability that I then produced with proper equipment, I hope I didn't let him down, but always eternal gratitude to Charlie Turner for getting me started.
Which year was it then when you were the champ?
68.
68?
Yeah.
Cracking year.
68. Yeah, it came as not a great surprise. I was playing well, but we were on the home track of Douglas, so I had the local knowledge and beat a few potential people early on, qualified with the lowest ever gross score that had been. When you think back in the history of the championship, which I've had the privilege of doing from start to finish in written form and learning all about it, 141 was the qualifying score. Much better now, obviously.
Did you ever play any competitions off island?
Again, it was financial.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get away to play in the county champions tournament. It might seem strange when you say that now, but it was a fact of life. Until probably mid-70s, late 80s. Yeah, probably you weren't on a kind of a decent wage. I didn't shirk work. I mean, I worked from the day I left school, picking strawberries at Callan and West, and then going on to work in a nursery at Alexander Drive for Billy Long for 9-10 years. So it was tough going just to... You didn't have bank accounts. If you wanted anything, you bought it on the Conister Trust. And there'll be a lot of people out there that'll say, "I did that."
Yeah, certainly will. Today's music. Well, it's another classic. Talk us into it, Roy.
When we went into motorcycling and went into sidecar trials, there was a pig farm out at Ellenbrook. There was a connection with Terry Kringle, so that will bring back a few memories. People will work it out. Jack Critchley's daughter, Terry Kringle, an item. There was a fellow called Dave Wade who ran it, and he was me sidecar passenger. And one winter he converted an MG Magnet. He took it apart, every bit, bolt for bolt, and redid it. And every time I see or hear that Silence is Golden. It's coming up out through the arches from the promenade up onto Victoria Road, and playing on the radio with the sun shining was Silence is Golden by the Tremolos.
Oh, don't it hurt deep inside to see someone, something to hurt? Oh, don't it pain to see someone cry? Oh, especially when someone is hurt. Silence is golden, but my eyes still see. Silence is golden, golden, but my eyes still see. Talking is cheap, people follow like sheep, even though there is nowhere to go. How could she tell he deceived her so well? Really, she'll be the last one to know. Silence is golden, but my eyes still see. Silence is golden, golden, but my eyes still see. How many times did she fall for his lies? Should I tell her, or should I be cool? And if I tried, I know she'll say I lied. Mind your business, don't hurt her, you fool. Silence is golden, but my eyes still see. Silence is golden, golden, but my eyes still see. But my eyes still see. But my eyes still see.
All this week on MiTunes. It's such a joy and a great privilege to have Roy Moore with us back in the studios of Manx Radio. And Roy, I want to talk about Mountain Memories, your series, which did, really, really well out there on the social media side. Took off like a rocket, your Mountain Memories.
I believe so, yeah. And at the studio next door, as we're recording this, is the lady responsible, Christy DeHaven. It was
Yeah.
an idea I'd put to Manx Radio, but it didn't seem to get going. And all of a sudden, I don't know, nostalgia was coming back. and
It's not what it was, though, nostalgia.
No,
it's not what it was.
Not the same. Not the same as what it was. And somebody said, well, we never haven't got anything from Peter Neal. We've got nothing from Jeff Cannell, only the odd race commentary, but we didn't have their thoughts of how they'd gone through it. So if anybody wants to kind of go through my life and career with Manx Radio and where we were and what we did and what we said, well, then the Mountain Memories is a good outlet. 12 kind of condensed bits of film, if you can call it that, and different venues and different locations, which meant something to me. In the early days, it was Park Avenue, the grandstand, getting taken over by Uncle Jack by the hand, whether I wanted to or not, to watch bikes. And then it moved on to Quarter Bridge, where we do a little resume of how you could get under the bridge and watch on the approach. And then to Ballacrane, where we did our first commentary. courtesy of Charlie Webster from Manx Radio. In the old days, Ian Cannell was a terrific commentator at the Bungalow, but he got tied up with the Manx Motorcycle Club and had to give up the commentary for the Grand Prix. And Manx Radio tried, would you believe, many people, George Ferguson, Alan Jollybody Jackson, Tom Kind had give it a go, and certainly there was a Dennis Crane and Adrian Earnshaw had to go up there, but didn't seem to be able to grasp the connection, because it was tough going to get all the leaders through and then all the leaders out via a timekeeper. It's none of this computer technology that you've got now, where it's in front of you, face to face. It was pretty tough going. And he said, "You've done the golf commentary." He said, "How about having a go at the bikes?"
And the rest, well, it's all there. Mountain Memories, you'll find it. Go to Manx Radio, click on a few buttons, you'll find it. It's a great series. You mentioned timekeeping. My goodness me. I mean, even now, I think you need backup. But going back to when it was you and Pat, really, wasn't it?
Pat O'Hanlon.
Working flat out at Ramsey Hairpin for so many years. I mean, definitely a right-hand man for you as a commentator.
Everybody, I think, had right-hand men, didn't they? Peter Neal, just can't think of his name, but I can picture him there. It was Norman that's up there now. But certainly they all had them. Maurice Maudsley, again, gifted with somebody who had a background, a local who was gone through the TT. And the O'Hanlon brothers had been at Manx Radio from day one in 1964, I think. And Pat O'Hanlon was fast approaching, well, it would have been one more chance for 50 years of being timekeeper.
Wow.
But when you see it, how it was done in the old days, Dave Phillips was with me up at the Bungalow and Pat was at Ballacrane. But certainly it was a work of art. Absolutely, I could not do it. Just not do it. And they used to do it. And not only that, but they would give you little bits of paper and tell you Hickman's on lap record pace or various other little things, a bit of history from...
because they've also worked out the importance of those timings, what they mean, not just the raw stats, and that's where they come into their own, isn't it?
Yeah. I got told very early in my career by a fella called Bill Jackson, and he was talking about the fact that he said, "I know people try it and that they've been useless." He was quite blunt and honest. He said, because they think they've been put there to tell everybody what they know about the TT. He said, if I hear a bike in the background and I'm thinking whether it's Wah Bob, as he called him, he said, I want to know. So even if you don't do anything, don't go on to a big story. He said, we want to know what's happening in the race, who's first, who's second and third, but more importantly, every bike that goes through your commentary position. He said, they all sound the same, they all sound like TZs. He said, but as long as you say even the number, just say that over the air. And he said, I'm back at the pits and I can relax for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, because that person has gone through and is on their way to the next point. Today's music, bit special this one, Roy.
Yeah, we've probably get a bit emotional about it, talking about it, but Jeff Cannell has been mentioned, and it was a private funeral for Jeff. There would have been that many people there, and the situation came that Zoe had to pick a song, and we're all going to follow the sun sometimes with the Beatles, and this was what was played at Jeff Cannell's little gathering up at the crematorium in 2007, 24th of September he died. And it was a few weeks later when he got buried, and would you believe he's absolutely opposite the start line. And it was not by choice, it was by design. He knew there was a plot there, he'd booked it, and he's off to follow the sun back then, and we are now.
One day you'll look to see I've gone, for tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun. Someday you'll know I was the one, but tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun. And now the time has come, and so my love I must go. And though I lose a friend, in the end you will know. Oh, one day you'll find that I have gone, but tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun. If tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun. And now the time has come, and so my love I must go. And though I lose a friend, in the end you will know. Oh, one day you'll find that I have gone, but tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun.
I know what you're thinking. Why is Mark going into MiTunes on a Friday? Well, you haven't been paying attention, because on Tuesday we were all down at Timwell Hill on our National Day, so I wasn't on. So that's why my guest and I, Roy Moore and I, are here today. It'll all make sense. Roy, thank you. Number 4. We've got a great piece of music. But before we get anywhere near that, what's going to happen with motor racing? I mean, we live in a world that is trying to become greener and greener and greener. And with the best will in the world, motorbikes that go fast with petrol in aren't very green. Is it going to change?
Well, basically, I suppose, when you think about the world and what its problems are at the moment, you only have to say, well, coming to the TT, you travel up to Liverpool, you get your belching out methods and stuff, doing that. You get on a boat to come to the Isle of Man, that belches out carbon dioxide or whatever it is. And generally, when you're on the Isle of Man, it's drenched in that. I always maintain on an island we're not so bad, because we get something, but we also get it blown away from us. But somebody else will get it.
Somebody else
and
will,
it's just a general kind of thought and trail of thinking at the moment.
I know neither of us were involved in this year, but I was very surprised not to see any electric bikes, because I thought when we were involved that was something, okay, it was a bit different, but maybe that was a route to the future, and this year nothing.
Nothing at all, and that they say for 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything for 2023 planned on the agenda. Certainly there's an extra 650 race, but there's certainly not an electric thing. It was not the most kind of exciting of racing. The cars seem to have developed into a system whereby they can actually pass one another, and and they don't do anything other than kind of not do it to comply with regulations, I suppose. But certainly it hasn't taken off with the bikes, and in any respect, even at MotoGP level.
I think they'll have to put some big loud speakers on them to make them sound different. They're so quiet. They're so quiet. I mentioned Mountain Memories and the series. If you're interested in the life of my guest, Roy Moore, do take a look at it. There's so many wonderful things in there, and it's a lot of people have done it. You won't be the first. You won't be the last. Go and have a look at that. But while I've got you in the chair, take me through a couple of your really most vivid memories of your commentary days.
Well, we've had a few kind of slip-ups, if you can call it that. But
Well,
we've also been involved.
I wasn't going to mention the Randy hairpin. Enough people have got that on their phones. Never mind me. Go.
Yeah, I mean, the other one was John Crillon coming through with a seagull stuck in his fairing, and I made the comment proves how easy it is to pick up a bird in Ramsey and all that. That one went down well.
I bet.
But there has been some memorable moments, and obviously John McGuinness, 130 mile an hour, and doing that and all that. But there was always a thing that we weren't allowed at Ramsey Hairpin to do the bungalow commentary. It was agreed that it was the remit of the lead commentator to do it. But I'll never ever forget my last two commentaries, 2018. Dean Harrison ahead at Ramsey Hairpin by 3 seconds from Peter Hickman. we were allowed to do the bungalow, and then it was a case then of waiting and describing everybody else as they went through and any snippets of information that we still had there. And then just looking at it, Pat would make sure that he transferred it over to the timing at the bungalow. And at the bungalow, Hickman took the lead by 0.8 of a second. And I often think, I wonder what people were thinking as I was screaming like a lunatic down at Ramsey, but telling the world that there'd been a new leader, and also that he was on a pace, as Pat had already pointed out, which could be, if he finished at the same pace, a new outright lap record of 135 miles per hour. And both were proven right. Hickman won, set a new absolute lap record, and an absolute privilege to be involved in that.
Golden.
And then 2019, we had a local lad, Nathan Harrison, went too fast in pit lane. He'd won the junior, looked as though he was favourite for the senior. It set him back a little bit. He too was behind at Ramsey Hairpin and made that mountain climb and went through the bungalow leading by something of a second, point of a second. And he also went on to win.
We see Nathan quite a lot up here and down the road at Quayside, and honestly, that smile, that grin on his face from that he's done this, what you're doing now, he's done the MiTunes with me. I don't think he'll ever lose that grin from two wins like that. That was unbelievable. I'm
led to believe his father has got it his on his phone as well, the final lap, and certainly it would give you a bit of a boost, I would think.
I certainly would. Roy, thank you for everything. Thank you for all those wonderful memories. Thank you for coming in today. Last track then, what's it going to be?
Yeah, we had a bit of sadness, well, severe sadness really, the ultimate. We lost Bud Jackson, and he'd stayed with us for 30 odd years. And I was asked to do the eulogy at his funeral, and his wife had picked a tune that they loved between them, and every time I hear it I think of him. Pompeii by Bastille.
Yeah, we'll play that right now. Roy, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah,
thank you.
Close your eyes. Does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? We were caught up and lost in all of our vices. In your poses, the dust settled around us, and the walls kept tumbling down in the city that we love. Great clouds roll over the hills, bringing darkness from above. But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? Oh, where do we begin? The rubble or our sins? Oh, where do we begin? The rubble or our sins? And the walls kept tumbling down in the city that we love. if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before? Oh, how I'm beginning to be an optimist about this. How I'm beginning to be an optimist about this. If you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all?
Thanks again to Roy Moore. What a voice. Absolutely wonderful to have him as my MiTunes guest this week. I'm Marc Tyley. Join me if you can every Monday to Friday, 9:30 in the morning for Marc Tyley in the Morning with Shaw, Isle of Man.